Better days. I couldn't believe what's happening to me right now. I'm getting escorted by 3 men dressed in black with bulky bodies. As good as it feels, I also feel scared. If anything happens to me, no one will even know, because I didn't tell anyone that I work at a gay bar as a stripper. I can't believe that I'm doing this for a living. The door opened, revealing a young man sitting on the sofa with a glass of scotch in his hands. He patted the space next to me, and one of his security guards pushed me in front, indicating me to sit next to him. I didn't understand what's going on, but one thing I knew was that my life will be changed when I walk out of this room. In what way? That was yet to be figured out. 1 month ago. I just finished my 5-hour shift on this cafe. I work at Coffee as a barista, where I experience different people and different stories every day. Hey, can you please do the closing for me? I have to be at my other job. I'm really getting late, said Menon, my friend who works at me at Coffee. I always wondered how his life is so better, even though we both work at the same place as part-timers. Until last month, he told me about his strip club he works at as a dancer, cum stripper. He offered me to work as well, as it's a new bar and he needs more staff, but I refused. However, I'm still not able to make up the money to get my brother into school or get us proper meals every day. After my parents passed away, I was left with nothing but a younger brother and grandparents who are too old to work. Everything was taken away from me that day, including my education, which led me to work at this cafe for the last 2 years. Every time I go home, I hope I can give the good news to my brother that he can go to school, unlike me, but affording it is out of the question now. Hey, do they still need more staff at the strip club? I asked, and I saw Menon chuckle. Yeah, but why would you ask? Are you thinking of joining it? He asked back, excitingly. Actually, yes. I think it's the right thing to do for now after seeing you buy a new phone and getting a better house last month. So I guess it's worth it, even though I have other goals right now, I continued, and he told me the address. I finished my work at the cafe and changed from my uniform to my shirt to go check the club. As I reached there, I saw a neon purple sign reading Moonlight Club, which was the name my friend told me. I walked inside and was surprised. It was a completely new world for me. It was dark, covered with dim, colorful lights. There were multiple pools with people on it, and tables full of alcohol and cash. Not that there was also customers covered with people's intimate moments. I started searching for my friend, but he was nowhere to be found. After a while, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I turned to see a man barely covered in any piece of clothing and wearing a mask. I got nervous and backed off until he removed his mask, and I got to know it's Menon. He took me backstage, and we rested in the tiny room he has with all his stuff and costumes. So how is it? Still want to work here? He asked, keeping a thick envelope beside. What's that? I asked. Today's payment, he said, as he opened it and started counting. It was $5,000, which shocked both of us. He said he usually gets that much and is able to live a better life. When can I start? I asked, and he laughed. Tomorrow, maybe. I will talk to the boss today. Come with me, he said, and we went to the owner's office. He asked for my family background and if I have any skills like singing and dancing. I told him I was a dancer and I participated in multiple things until last year. Everything changed after my parents' death, and all I could focus on was how to make mine and my family's life better. The owner hired me because of Menon's kind words, and I will be starting tomorrow. Another day started just normal. I got up to my grandmother's voice calling me to have breakfast before I went to work. It's a sweet ritual that we all follow after my parents passed away, that is to eat at least one meal together. I sat down at the table and looked at Brad, my brother. I promise you that we will be going to school soon, I told him, and he happily smiled and hugged me. I told my grandparents that I got another job as a dance teacher in a wealthy family uphill, so I will be late. I hate to lie, but I had to lie. I got my stuff and I left for the cafe. I started working there, but I was nervous the entire time, thinking about the dancing. I'm thankful that we can wear masks, or else I doubt I would be able to agree upon something like this. Soon 5 hours ended and I closed my shift. I started walking towards the club as slowly as I still had an hour left. My shift at the club started around 8. I reached on time and I was taken to a small room, smaller than Menon's, which barely had a space for 3 or 4 people to stand. So it was good enough, I guess. The manager came into my room to meet me and introduced me to everyone else. They taught me how to dress and what exactly to do. It was time for my performance to start. I was getting nervous. I could hear my heart beating fast and my body shivering. Then I remembered every other time I danced and how much joy it brought me. I decided to leave the fear behind and remember Brad's smiling face and how happy he will be to go to school like the other children in our area. As I walked on stage wearing a harness costume which only covered my bottom, I was given a big black mask that covered more than half of my face. As I moved towards the pole, I heard a bunch of men shouting. It gave me confidence to perform better. I jumped on the pole and the music started. 5 minutes later, the song ended and I had already engaged more customers than there were before. I noticed a bunch of them throwing money at me. Menon told me that I am supposed to take all the money as extra tip until I become popular enough to have someone pick those notes up for me. I did as I was told. I thanked everyone who complimented me. I started picking up some notes one by one, and the embarrassment was taking over me until I reached the VIP table, where a bulky man in all black standing straight to a man whose face was not visible. The guard handed me a piece of paper which, when I turned, I noticed that it was a check for $10,000. I almost dropped it, seeing the amount. I thanked the man standing there, and then he asked me to move out of there. I went back to my room to change my clothes and left for home. Before reaching home, I cashed the check and texted my boss in the cafe to ask for a day off. He agreed, as I don't really take leave from work. I didn't know that the day would come this soon. As I reached home, I took a shower and went to sleep. The next morning, I went to Brad's room and woke him up, asking him to get ready for his surprise. He came down and I took him to the school I used to study in when I was a kid. "Am I going to study here, Isaac?" he asked. "Yes, buddy, you will. Now, when we all go inside, don't get nervous. Just be yourself," I told him, and we went inside. The interview went well, as the principal knew me and my situations. He didn't bother asking Brad many questions, and took him in for second grade, considering he was homeschooled by me for 2 years. I paid the fees and got the list of supplies. "Let's go shopping for your new school," I asked, and saw him happy. "Yes," he exclaimed. I took him to all the places I used to hang out before and shop from. We looked for uniforms and some books. "Isaac, can I have $5? "Why?" I asked. "Please." "Okay," I said, handing the kid $5. He left me there as I was paying the bill for his books and returned back with 2 cones of ice cream. I smiled and kissed his forehead. "Thank you, Isaac. You are the best brother," he said, which made me feel that everything I am doing is worth it. I went back home and I got ready to go to the club. With the same routine, I started getting ready and then moved on stage. After finishing, I walked to collect money and found the same man sitting in the same place, again with his face hidden behind his men. One of them asked me to come towards them and handed me another check with the same amount written. All of a sudden, it all felt weird and I walked back to my room. This continued for 2 more days until one day in my performance, I noticed the VIP seat empty, wondering what might have happened. After taking money from everyone else, I was walking toward my room, but I noticed a bunch of people standing in front of the room. "Mr. Isaac, come with us," he asked me in a serious tone. "Come where? Who are you all?" I asked back, but got no answer. One of them walked towards me and pushed their hand on my shoulder, making me turn and walk forward. I got very scared and started asking more questions, but got no reply. I tried screaming, but no one could hear me because of the loud music. After a minute, I was standing in front of a luxurious room, doors covered in golden paint, and securities on the side. The door opened, revealing a young man sitting on the sofa with a glass of scotch in his hands. I looked around as I entered the room. It was a room with a high roof, windows covered with full-length red curtains. It was dark, so I was unable to figure out who this person was from far away. He patted the space next to me, and one of his security guards pushed me in front, indicating to me to sit next to him. As I sat, I realized it was none other than Charlie Turner, a celebrity. Brad always shows me his videos where he plays the role of a young policeman, which motivated Brad to think of becoming one. "Are you really Charlie Turner?" I was shocked. He simply nodded his head, taking another sip of his drink. "Drinks?" he asked me, and I said no. I usually don't drink, and specifically not with people I just met. Let them be whoever. "But why have you called me here?" "I figured I could be of help to you, and you can be the same for me," he said. "Can you be clear? I didn't understand," I asked, thinking of what help can a person like me be to a celebrity. "I know you need money. Everyone who comes here is either in need of money or have excess of it." "It is true what he said. I noticed it in a month of working here." "Stay with me, pretend to be my boyfriend, and I will pay you $30,000 a month," he said, leaving me in shock. "What? No," I said sternly. "See, I have my reasons. Plus, you will be in profit," he said, trying to convince me. "There can be no reason or profit in buying a human to stay with you and fake a relationship." I stood up, thinking of leaving from there. I was getting offended, and I felt rage in me. "Is wanting someone to stay by my side because I have cancer not a good reason?" he said. That made me stop my steps immediately. "Wait, is that true?" I asked as I turned back. "Everyone leave," he ordered, and everyone present in the room left. "Sit down." He asked me to sit, and I sat on the sofa in front of him. "I found out a few months back that I have cancer. Except for my close family, no one knows about it. Now you do too." "But why do you want someone to stay with you?" I asked. "Not just someone. I want you to stay with me. I've seen you many times at this bar. You have grace like no other man has," he said, making me shy. "But why?" "Listen, I know it might be a lot for you, but you know you need it too. You can help me live the best of my life in front of cameras by pretending to be my boyfriend, so people stop seeing me as something I am not. A player who fools around with chicks or a man running behind fame. I want my real fans to know the real me, who is gay and not someone who sleeps with girls to get famous," he said. Every word he said made me see his sincerity more and more, and he was right. I do need the money. Until when can I work 2 jobs and not follow my dream of pursuing my education and starting my own companies and NGOs? You can still say no if you want to. No one will force you to. I cut him off and said, I accept the offer. What? Really? He said, looking straight at me with shine in his eyes. Yes, I agree, I repeated myself. Okay, that's great. Now, I just need you to sign this contract for me, he said, giving me some papers. What is this? I asked. It's a contract that says you will be my pretentious boyfriend for 6 months. You will get $30,000 every month and I will take care of your public image as well. Whereas you have to make sure you take care of my public image and you should not be seen with any other man while being in this contract or else you will have to pay a penalty of $1 million, he finished, and I scoffed while listening to the last line of the contract. $1 million? How am I supposed to pay that? I've never even seen that much money. Well then, just follow the contract, and if you do good, you never know. You might own $1 million, he replied with a smirk. I nodded my head and signed the paper. Pack all your stuff from here. You won't be working here anymore, he ordered. What? Why? I questioned him back. You think it'll be nice if Charlie's boyfriend is a dancer in a strip club and people get to know about it? You will be in the eyes of the camera sometimes, so save your image, and mine, he said. And one last thing. No personal feelings involved. This is just a contract, he said, and I nodded. I did as asked. I cleared my room and gave some excuse to Menon. My boss already approved my resignation. Apparently Charlie handed this for me. For a moment, I was actually happy because I was getting tired and embarrassed of working in a strip club and having random men touch me and throw money at me. Next morning, I woke up with the sound of a constant horn. I realized it must be Charlie, as the area I live in would never have a car this big and expensive. Even though my grandparents didn't care much, I still informed them so that they don't have to hear anything from outside. However, nowadays I started covering the full truth. I got ready and told my grandmother that it's the people who I teach dance to. She just nodded and asked me to work well. Hey, that's a cool car, Isaac. Can I get a ride? He asked, and I didn't know what to say. He then jumped out immediately and got in the car. I ran behind him to stop him, but it was too late. He was standing in front of the car with his mouth open wide. Charlie Turner? He mouthed. I put him inside the car and sat. I'm sorry, he is my younger brother, Brad. Hello, Brad. Nice to meet you, Charlie said, forwarding his hand. Do you teach dance to Charlie Turner? Brad asked, looking at me. I heard Charlie laugh at the back. Brad, the thing is, yes, your brother teaches me dance, and he is an amazing dancer, he said, cutting me off. Yes, he is amazing. Can you drop me to school, Charlie? Brad asked, and I was embarrassed. Brad, no, your school bus will come soon, I said, trying to get him out of there before he asks any more questions. Of course, but only if you keep our meeting a secret. I want to surprise people with my performance, which your brother is teaching me. You can't ruin it, okay? He said sweetly, and Brad agreed. We drove Brad to his school and he got off. Where are we off to? I asked Charlie. First, we need to do something about your hair and clothes. No offense. They look decent, but you need a makeover, he said. I just rolled my eyes, because deep down, I know it's true. We reached the salon where this guard safely got us inside from the back door. He told me he's been coming here for years, and none of the paparazzi caught him here. We entered the place and looked posh, yet normal at the same time. He introduced me to Taylor, his barber. Hey Taylor, meet my boyfriend, Isaac, he said, and I thought how fast this thing started, that now he's introducing me as his boyfriend. Get habitual to this, Isaac, Charlie said, and sat back. Leave it on Taylor, he knows what to do. An hour went by with all the grooming I was getting. In between, I also got some people around showing me various clothes like shirts and trousers and shoes, many more things. I felt like a celebrity. This was something I never thought I would get to experience. We went to the restaurant after we were done to do the big reveal. We chose a spot where it will be easy for paparazzi to find us because Charlie wanted to start it and get done with it soon. As we got out of the place, I was surrounded by a bunch of different men and women, all with flashes, all and shouting Charlie's name loudly. I was getting stuck by his fans, so he came back, held my hand and walked forward with me. This already created some buzz between them as I could hear them hooting for us. We quickly walked and sat in the car. Good job, this is all you have to do. Be with me and pretend to be my boyfriend how you did just now, Charlie said. He drove me back home and I was already feeling tired. I met Brad on my way to the room and asked him in case he told this to anyone. He said he did not, as he promised Charlie. I pat his head and went back to my room to have a good sleep. One thing that was in my mind the entire time was how he came and held my hand to get me out of there. One thing he still doesn't know is that I hate flashlights. It's because of the car accident my parents got into, which took their life. It scares me, and he saved me from it unknowingly. This continued for almost a month. In the middle, sometimes, Brad would accompany us, and I already saw how close Charlie and him got. I never saw a side of a celebrity, let alone be Charlie or Brad, who doesn't talk to any stranger. I was getting used to the life and treatment I was getting now. Always surrounded by people, having good clothes to wear, and even eating at expensive places I never thought I could. Charlie sent the dinner off today, and it was just him and I driving at night. Recently we started having some peaceful time, which I feel is important for Charlie, so he can take a break and rest from all this fame and papas and worries. We stopped at McDonald's, and he ordered a coffee for both of us. Soon my phone received a notification. I checked it, and it said $30,000, which brought me back to reality, that after all this is all a contract. I realized how I was losing the hold of myself and started thinking of Charlie as a friend. It was not just him who needed someone to stay with him, but me too. I too needed someone to stay with me and be there for me. But at the end of the month, a phone notification with a bunch of digits changed my thoughts. Tomorrow there is a celebration dinner. My family will be there, so you will meet them, personally, he said, informing me about my tomorrow's schedule. I wore the suit he sent and got dressed for the occasion. I was initially nervous to meet his family, but when I saw it as part of the deal, the nervousness took off and the sadness took over. I was confused, too, for feeling this way. I walked out of my house and a car was already waiting for me. I sat inside and in a good 30 minutes we reached. I opened the door to a port where many ships were standing. There was a white-color ship, looking more lively than the others, with a bunch of people and lighting. I guess that's the one I had to go to, and I was right. As I started getting in, I was covered by many cameras, which made me uncomfortable. Out of nowhere, security came and escorted me safely inside. I noticed a guard making contact with Charlie, and then they both nodded at each other, proving that Charlie sent them to escort me. "Hi, you look good," he said, and I complimented him back. "Okay, let's meet my family now, shall we?" he asked, placing his hand on my waist and moving me forward along with him. "Mom, this is Isaac, my boyfriend." "Oh, hi Isaac, nice to meet you," she said, but her tone felt off. One by one I met his sister, his father, and his best friends, but I felt off with everyone. For some reason I was worried that they didn't like me. Not that it should matter, but still mattered for me. I excused myself from there, but I overheard one of his friends talking to his parents saying, "Looks like Charlie picked me up from the garbage." It made me feel so bad, and I felt like I had lost self-respect. I moved from there without saying anything, for the sake of Charlie. I want him to enjoy stuff like this before it's late. I picked up a drink and started having it. I was standing in the middle of the ocean on a yacht. It felt like every dream came true, yet I got nothing. That's when I realized I broke the biggest rule of the contract by falling in love with Charlie. "Hey, what are you doing here, standing alone?" I heard the voice and turned behind to see Charlie standing there. "Oh, you are here. Well, I'm liking it. Finally, some peace," I said, and he stood next to me. "Yeah, peace. That's what I feel with you," he said, then felt shy. "What is the point? This is just a contract. I'm at peace you bought," I said, laughing. "What happened? Why are you talking like that all of a sudden?" he asked me, and I continued laughing. "Do you also think I'm garbage? Your family and friends think this way," I blurted out without realizing. "You're drunk, Isaac. Come with me," he said, holding me by my waist and arm, mapping away from me downstairs to his room. "I don't think you're garbage. If anyone is, it's them who thinks that way. All they care about is money and popularity. They don't even care about their dying son," Charlie said, making me stop and turn towards him. "Don't say that again. You're not dying," I said, and I pressed my lips against his without caring about anything anymore. To my surprise, he did not move back or push me away, but I stopped. "I'm sorry. I must be drunk." "No, don't be sorry. I am in fact thankful," he said. "What? But the contract." "Fuck the contract," he said, smashing his lips on mine. Hard this time. We moved to his room and did not come out until it was morning, and I found myself sleeping on his arms, partially naked. I was shy and did not know what I did was wrong or right. I started getting up until I was pulled by him. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked, smiling. I'm just going out before anyone sees us this way," I said, making excuses. "I think our strat was to show people, but now I don't care about any, and you shouldn't either, Isaac," he said, and I felt nice. It felt homely after a very long time. I laid back down, staring at him, planting a few kisses on his face and shoulders. "So what about the contract? Do I have to pay a penalty?" I said, and he started laughing. "No, you don't, because I'm pretty sure I fell in love with you before you did," he said, and smiled at me. We got up and got dressed to go out. Yacht was about to reach the shore. As we got out, a lot of people were already standing there, ready to get off. Charlie bid bye to everyone and thanked them, except he ignored his family and walked away from them. "I will drop you home," he said, and walked to his car. I reached home and got a fresh. I was happy with myself after a very long time. I felt good, and I thought I deserved some happiness too. Not so later, 6 months came to an end, and our contract legally ended because it ended long back for us. In these 6 months, we have come very far. Charlie and I decided to open the NGOs for children suffering from cancer and orphan kids. We signed the project together, which was a year long. Charlie took Brad on vacation with us, and it was the best time we all had. My life was falling into place until today. Charlie suggested we go somewhere peaceful, where not many people know him, and I knew the exact place. I took him to Weedham Park, a park near my area, which is small, quiet, and peaceful, and I'm pretty sure no one will know him there. I'm so grateful that I got to meet you in this lifetime. Thank you, but I'm more grateful. What have you done for me and my family, for Brad? I can never repay you for that, I replied. You don't have to repay me for anything. Just live your life and fulfill your dream. Fulfill our dream together of getting to the children in need together, he said, making me smile and also giving me a teary smile. We sat on the bench and saw trees slowly moving. The breeze was cool and soothing. I held Charles's hand and he laid his head on my face. It felt like a perfect time to say this. I love you, Charlie, I said, smiling, hoping to hear it back, but it never came. Charlie? Charlie? Charlie! I shouted his name and I heard no reply, no movement, no response. My heart stopped. I realized what had happened, but what broke my heart more was that he knew what was going to happen, and that's why he chose a quiet place to be in today. How could he not tell me? I stayed there still. The breeze was hitting both of our skin, but only I was able to feel the coldness in it. I cried there continuously for I don't know how long, but it was time, and I couldn't delay it. I slowly held his hand and kissed it. I picked him up and walked towards his car to lay him inside and reach his home. Conclusion. It's been a month since Charlie passed away. Isaac and Charlie's family attended his funeral, whereas various fans waited outside his house to bid their goodbyes to him. Isaac's life has been changed completely. Isaac received a letter from a college confirming his enrollment in the college, which he never applied to but always wanted to pursue. He smiled knowing Charlie did it for him. His focus now was to finish his education and build a dream they started together. In a year, Isaac was able to get the degree with exceptional performance, but rejected most of the companies to work in. He knew where he had to work and where his focus should be. He used all the funds Charlie left for his use to grow on the NGOs. Isaac decided to name it Sky, which was a role played by Charlie, which both Isaac and Charlie loved. The inauguration day happened, and Isaac looked up to thank Charlie for the life he gave him, and also Brad. Isaac never got to hear those words back from Charlie, but Charlie said it all even without saying anything. The end. Did you expect this ending? If not, then what did you think of it? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.